And here we are with the Celtics sweeping out the Indiana Pacers. And yes, the Pacers didn't have Tyrese Halliburton for the last 2 games of this series. And yes, you know, that's going to be part of the narrative we hear over the next 9 days that the Celtics have off because they swept out the Pacers. And we'll talk about that narrative in just a matter of moments. And then also with Dave McMenamin of ESPN, who's going to be joining us to start this program off. So, listen, I don't care who's in front of you. You got to beat the team that's in front of you. Certainly if you have the weight of the world upon you, like the Celtics clearly placed on themselves with a remarkable regular season. And one of the guys one would think that would have a significant amount of pressure is the guy who won the MVP of the Eastern Conference Finals. Let me tell you something. Growing up in the Northeast, as I have, as you did, TJ, I'll even throw you that one.
Oh, gee,
okay. And obviously you, Chris, being a New Englander, along with various parts of this great nation that you grew up in because your dad was in the Coast Guard. Anybody in the Northeast that signs the richest contract in the history of their sport must come through all year long and in the clutch. You can't have an off night. You can't have an off night. And I know I'm mixing sports and also bringing up a town and a team that many of you New Englanders don't want to hear about right now. Juan Soto at the Yankees, for instance. No, I'm serious. When you come to a town and you're that highly touted and you want to cash in, you sometimes feel the weight of the world on your shoulders and you don't do what Juan Soto is doing right now. Killing it right now. I think he should be a member of the Steinbrenner family. They should just adopt him. It might be cheaper for them. So, but I'm just using this to point out how tough it is in the Northeast to live up to expectations and a contract. 5 years, $304 million Supermax contract is what Jaylen Brown signed last summer. Wow. This is his first year in that 5-year contract this very year. And what did he do all season long was just play consistently excellent basketball for a 60-win team and for a team that had to go finals or bust. And that's the end of the story. If the Celtics did not wind up in the NBA Finals this year, it would be a bust of a season.
Be bad.
There's no other way to have the conversation.
Yeah.
Period. End of story.
Fact.
They're in the finals. They've won 12 of their 14 playoff games in so doing. They're 12-2 since the playoffs began. 12-2 now. And last night, Jaylen Brown down 2 in Game 4. Yeah, they're playing with house money. Of course, they're up 3-0. But listen, the Pacers want to do this to you. We saw it as a Knick fan. I saw it as a Knick fan. Just keep on surviving and advancing. And then let the chips fall. Jaylen Brown made an 8-footer to tie the game at 102. Then Andrew Nembhard, after a bunch of turnovers, has a clear path to the basket. And it looks like he's going to score the first points for the Pacers in a couple minutes' time. Mm-hmm. And I don't know how Brown blocked that shot, but he did. Without fouling. Didn't touch the guy. The only thing he touched was the ball. It was a remarkable block coming from behind where everybody usually commits a foul. He blocks that shot. Then next possession, has the ball, goes in the paint, draws a bunch of attention, finds arguably their most lethal three-point shooter wide open in the corner, and Derek White buries it.
Cash.
Goes up 3, end of game. Goes up, eventually. But this was the go-ahead series sweeping clincher. Jaylen Brown. Let me just get his stat line. I had it up here on my computer. There it is. 29.6 rebounds, 3 steals, 2 assists, 1 block that we mentioned in 44 minutes of Game 4 action. That is a guy who's living up to the billing and the contract in a city where if you don't, they will chew you up and spit you out. Amazing. All the flowers. This is Jaylen Brown's press conference afterwards with the trophy for being the MVP of the conference finals sitting there right in front of him.
Yeah, we feel like we're a different team than we were last year and the year before that. Mm-hmm. I know everybody wants to continue to kind of pigeonhole us to what's happened in the past, but we've had a different team every single year, different coaches, We've had like 3 coaches in the last 5 years, and still people want to, just make it seem like it's the same. Time has gone by, experience has been gained, and I think we are, ready to put our best foot forward.
That trophy is named after Larry Bird.
Larry Bird.
The Larry Bird Trophy sitting in front of Jaylen Brown as the Celtics go to a finals again on the day we learn of Bill Walton's passing.
That seems almost fixed.
And the Eastern Conference Team Championship Trophy is named the Bob Cousy Trophy. Also Celtics legend.
So
it's all skewed for the Celtics to win, I guess.
Well, no. Hold on a second. And we'll talk about that over the next, 9 days. And we're assuming tonight the Mavericks who have an opportunity to close out the Timberwolves. And even if they don't, they've got to just win one more out of the next 4. And 2 of those 4 are at home.
These 7 games, the Celtics 4 wins, the Mavs 3 wins, it could easily be flipped. It could be 3-1 Pacers. It could be 2-1 Wolves. The way these games have gone, just Dallas and Boston have been so good at the clutch minutes, the closing out the game for the win. It's been remarkable.
Well, you just hit upon, gents, the conversation that we're going to be having over the next 9 days because we're going to get bored with no basketball, certainly on the Eastern Conference side of things, which is how good are the Celtics? I mean, believe it or not, this is going to be a conversation.
Pretty ridiculous.
No, because again, game 1, the Pacers had them right where they wanted them and then blew it. Didn't foul Jaylen Brown, your Larry Bird Trophy winner, makes that 3 when Pascal Siakam would just prefer to just stand in front of him for fear of fouling him and making it a 4-point play or giving him 3 shots at the free throw line. Instead, just saying, take your 3-point shot over me without me putting my arms up, using my wingspan. Listen. That's
weird
part
decision.
of the conversation. And then game 3, the Pacers, without Tyrese Halliburton, had him. Couldn't finish. Last night, the Pacers, without Tyrese Halliburton, were up. Didn't score a point in the last 3.5 minutes of the game. Not a point. In the last 3.5 minutes of the game. And then the conversation will be, well, is that the Celtics defense? Or is that just the Pacers not being able to finish? They finally couldn't close. They couldn't find any of the requisite amount of gas in their engine, to use the Indianapolis 500 terms, off of this weekend.
Back-to-back winner.
That's going to be the conversation about the Celtics. Is no Jimmy Butler for Miami, no Jared Allen for Cleveland, and half the time no Donovan Mitchell for Cleveland, which clearly was mixed up in their locker room because they bounced their coach over whatever the heck was going on in there. And then in the Eastern Conference Finals, arguably the best player for the Indiana Pacers gets hurt too. So have your head on a swivel, whoever comes out of the Western Conference Finals, because somebody's going to get hurt because that's the way things have been going for the Celtics, or the Celtics have had a more open path to the finals basket because they've played shadows of the teams that made the playoffs. That's the conversation. That's what's coming. And once we get bored of that, the conversation will turn to Kyrie's coming back to Boston, because I think that's what's going to end up happening. And I think we always like to front load narratives on this program. That's what I particularly feel like I am expert at. Narratives. How will Porzingis' return
Porzingis
aid?
revenge series.
Okay, yeah, that too, right. Well, he used to be on the Mavericks, I imagine.
Him and Luka didn't get along, reportedly.
Okay.
So I really think the Kyrie thing is, I don't want to make too big of a deal of it. It was 5 years and 3 teams ago for this guy. He's a different player now. I imagine he's a different person now. And I've kind of really enjoyed, as much as I dislike him as a player when he was with Boston and how he exited, I have really enjoyed watching him play in the playoffs. He was a stone cold killer with Cleveland, and he hit the biggest shot, as we know, in the 16 finals. And it's nice to kind of see that guy back as a pure basketball fan, taking, whatever animosity I have towards him for his time in New England, taking that out. It's been kind of cool. And I kind of hope, I imagine he's going to get booed every time he touches the ball and all that stuff. But
right.
I kind of hope that, the fans in Boston just kind of focus on the hoops.
Two things. One, I think you're right. Two, let's not talk about it anymore because we got to save something for the next 8 days.
Yeah. Anyway.
Because I think they do close out the Timberwolves tonight.
You do?
I kind of have that feeling. Catch the Rich Eisen Show every single day on the Roku channel, 12 to 3 Eastern, for free.